Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Happy Labor Day weekend. My name is Maria, and I thought I would do a quick video. They're never quick, you know they're not. Okay, but this is just an update. Kind of just commemorating an anniversary time for me that I'm holding very sacred and that I work on every day. And I just want to talk about it just a little bit. So I'm actually standing in the same place in the kitchen that I made this video. Originally at 10 years and then at 12 years, and now I'm at year 13. I made one video while I was crocheting, so this is my 13-year anniversary of taking myself off of fentanyl patches and opiates and a good amount of benzodiazepines that I've been on for 30 plus years. So I do have a video that's more lengthy that goes into my medical history, which I'll quickly just run down a few things. I said that in the other video too, and it got long. So I'll just say I had pain conditions that really warrant the medications that my doctor had me on, which I'm sure a lot of you understand the pain in your body. Excuse me. Oh, I got my cord here. So, as we all know, there was an opioid crisis, right? Epidemic. Okay. Well, in my other video, I talk about the end-to-end plan that Purdue and Merck and big pharma and insurance companies kind of created and taught their doctors what pain in the body meant and what inflammation in the body meant and what amount was a therapeutic gold standard dosage to give people. And the thought that it was never okay for a person to be in pain because that raised their stress level, which raised their cortisone level. And then if a person got into a pain cycle, you probably couldn't get it to stop. So we saw the prescriptions just flying out of doctors' offices and more elective surgeries and just procedures that people maybe wouldn't have gotten, but they thought, maybe some thought, well, my doctor says I need this. Let me just say, when you have real conditions going on in your body that are causing pain, most doctors are not going to prescribe a pain medication for if they can't find anything. But if they find something that is indicative of inflammation and will cause pain, they will prescribe. So, from before 30 years old, just around before 30, and then through my teen years, because of my history, I was on different pain medicines for childhood hospitalizations and procedures and surgeries that I had that probably got me a little used to being in a disassociated state and away from the pain. So I don't think people talk about that if you're a child and you go through, being in a hospital, having a lot of procedures, a lot of painful things done. Doctors will prescribe. And back in the 70s, 60s and 70s, they were prescribing then. Dentists prescribed. I had a surgery from here to here, and my thymus gland removed at 9.5, 10 years old. And I was just round the clock on morphine. They were knocking me out and everything. And everything that went on in the hospital, all those procedures, all the testing that came before that, the angiograms, the angioplasty, all that, thoracic, and what led me to there, and then all that trauma beforehand, which I've talked about in other videos, led me to having chronic pain in my body. Now, I also was premature, and so I have a malrotated intestine. I have over 100 spleens, and I have tumors on my kidney lobes. I have 3 tumors on one lobe and 2 on the other. I have benign and mixed tissue in my thyroid. And I have what's called retrolothesis from my C3 to my C5. And osteophytes. And I've had compression fractures of my L5, L6, and sacral compression. And now I have scoliosis, which is past 45%, which has taken out height and made me get taller on this side and shorter on this side with a drop foot. So that affects everything. It affects the way you breathe. It affects the way you digest food. Your spine is your health. And just without spine health, you're screwed. Okay. Growing up, my mother used to always tell me, stand up straight, because I would be slouched over. Most of the time, I would be hunched over because I was scared. But that's another video. But also, my mother knew that what was going on with my back from young. She had been advised from the Catholic school I went to that I wasn't one of those kids that had a straight back. It was going to require surgery. But because I had this done, the thymus gland removed and a big tumor, they weren't going to go in and mess with the back. So I just carried on in life, and I had issues all the time with my stomach. All the organs that should be on my right side are on my left side, including my appendix just floated over to my left side. Oh, like it floats back and forth, and over 100 spleens that float around, roam around in my body. Some of them are functional, some of them are not. So when you get scoliosis, spondylitis in your cervical spine and in your lumbar, and you start having discs that are going and bone against bone, you get a lot of compressed nerves everywhere, and your muscles do this. All of them. You can be talking 1 minute, all of a sudden you're like, you're just stuck. Or walking and your hand goes, and it's not coming back. It's not like a muscle cramp, it's a contracture. So I went to all the neurologists, had the EEG, the MRI, the pins and needle test, the nerve conduction, all of the stuff. And there were, ever since I had meningitis, they've found changes on the brain scans that are consistent with MS, but it never developed into MS. Borderline rheumatoid factor, borderline lupus factor. So I had all these autoimmune crazy things going on that were just like right on the edge. Even when I went to get tested for gluten, my doctor said again, you are right there. Any other doctor would say, you have it. When I had tumors, I had 3 doctors that said, it's cancer. 2 said, it isn't. So I took the 2 that said, it isn't, and left. So what I say now, after all those years of being on fentanyl patches and opiates and benzodiazepines, is you want to taper off of all of the benzos very slowly under a doctor's direction. And if it's alcohol, and I never had that problem because I just didn't drink that much. I just really don't drink. I used to when I was younger. If a girlfriend came over or something, we might not pick a few glasses of wine or tequila or something, but that was it. Maybe a wedding or 2 that I drank. Never. I don't like being drunk or out of it. So after a major operation, I think my body was just prone to. I think I had a dependency at young, but I had enough warranted conditions where I had meningitis and it became chronic. And I was put on Percocet and Percodan, which I became allergic to in the hospital. So then I was sent home on something called Cariosoprostol, which is Soma. It's a muscle relaxer. I was put on Transine, which was supposed to be a better medication to be on with the half-life the way it was. You could take less because it had a longer half-life for severe PMS, for anxiety. That's what I was put on it for. And I've said this in other videos, so I won't get long. The only time I got hyper, upset, agitated, racy, panicky, angry, impulsive, self-harming kind of feeling was when I had my menstrual cycle. And my gynecologist realized that right away and said, you're having severe, severe PMS, and some women do. The hormones just go. And so I want you to take this 5 days before and of your period, and then, so I was basically like taking it like 10 to 12 days out of the month. And then I'd be able to put it aside. As I got diagnosed with MPD in 1986 and learned that any stress could make me switch, I started taking more, increase the dosage. So 13 years ago, I went from 8 transient a day and 8 soma a day. And at the time I was on fentanyl patches that began at 25 patch and then went up to 100 MQC patches and then down to 12.5. I'm going to link to my other video because it's longer. And if you want the details of how I did it over Labor Day weekend, when my doctor gave me actually a 4-week tapering off of just the patch. So what and then she gave me another medication to go on while I was tapering off the patch, but I didn't use it. I decided, why would I want to go on Dilaudid if I'm getting off of fentanyl? Now, a lot of people think they have to go into rehab. There isn't a day that I don't have pain in my body. There isn't a day that I don't have inflammation. And there isn't a day that I don't, or a night that I don't wrestle with my pillows and everything around me. There isn't a day that I don't struggle with my mind saying, maybe I should just take something, okay? And maybe I should get something, lift my mood, not be depressed, not be anxious, not be whatever. Here's the cool thing about being integrated. You suddenly feel all the feelings. And you don't need to drug them away, and you don't need to have an alter aspect ego come out and handle the emotions you actually feel. So you think clearer. So 13 years later, I am down to 1 soma a day and 1.5 transient, which is exactly where I was at 3 years ago. So at my 10-year anniversary, I did a video in 2019. And this is my 13-year anniversary, and it was Labor Day weekend, and I decided I'm going to leave her. I've been bugging my doctor. I just want to get off this. I just want to get off. And she was really worried. She didn't want me to be home alone. I didn't tell anybody in my family till later. I didn't tell. I have a friend who's a nurse. I didn't tell her. I didn't want to fail. I didn't know what to expect. But I knew that by reading the threads about getting off a benzo or an opiate, I was facing hell, right? I was like, ugh. And I did it all at once. And I would say withdrawal kicked in at about day 3. For the first 2 days, I was like, I'm fine. By the 3rd day, I was okay without the patch. I just took it right off. Like at day 3, I was supposed to keep the patch on to day 4, to day 5, to day 6, to change it like that for 4 weeks. Like keep your patch on for 4 days instead of 3 days. For 2 weeks. And then keep your patch on for 5 days for 2 weeks. And then change it. And keep your patch on for 6 days for 2 weeks. And then take it off. And then keep your patch on for 7. And then take it off. I got to day 3 and I just took it off. And that was my normal time to take it off, like every 3 days. And I just waited. I was like, dear God, what's going to happen to me? What's going to happen? What's going to I prayed a lot. I would say, this is not, disclaimer, check with your doctor. Don't just go cold turkeying it off anything. If you've been drinking 6 beers a day for 30 years, don't just stop. If you've been drinking that 4 glasses maybe of wine, 3 glasses of wine a day and you're a female, or whatever, go by your weight. But if you've been doing it every day for years, don't just stop. Now I have really struggled with when you get down to the 1 a day. And my doctor told me that if I've only been taking 1 a day for 13 years, and I can take up to 3, and there's days the muscle spasms are really bad that I've had to take 2. So she really wanted me to stay on something for my muscles, and this is like the only one that actually I thought worked. But she said, with the amount of time I've been on it, it's probably not actually doing anything. But you don't want to go off of that and the last benzo and a half. So, this week I cut the half out of the transient, and so it's down to 1. And today I'm cutting the other half. That's kind of fast, and I'll see how it works out. There really isn't you can cut the soma in half, but I'm thinking what I'll do is take it one day and then not take it the next. So because today is day 2 of not taking it. And I'd have to say, so far so good. Last night I had really bad muscle spasms. My feet you could see the muscle in my leg just kind of like all cramping up in my leg. My feet were just going. I looked like the Wicked Witch of the Wizard of Oz when water was thrown on her and she's melting. And her toes curled right up. That's what I looked like all night. I just kept jumping up and drinking more water. I would say keep your potassium up if you're struggling with muscle spasms. Check your vitamin B's, magnesium. Stay away from too much potato and too much bananas. You're not going to really get from melons, bananas. And if you're to the point where your muscles are spazzing that bad, you're probably dehydrated too. Keep your water going. In fact, I'm going to go get my water and come right back. I'm going to grab it. It's in here. I'll be right back. I am forever forgetting to drink my water, so let me just do it. Thank you. Okay, I wanted to put this up here. If you recognize this, you guys. I found a DVD CD. Hello, big hello to Estrella out there. Thank you. I'm listening to Neil Young right now, and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. This is such a great mix. I have friends who made me CDs of music when I was really going through a rough time a few years back. Long time now. 2007, 6, 7. I hope you're all doing okay. Okay, it's really great to be reconnecting with people out here. I won't name names. I'll just say thank you so much for coming to my videos and telling me you welcome me back. Thank you for writing me. As many people know, I look at media perceptions of multiple personality, what it used to be called, and dissociative identity disorder. And I basically debunk all the media myths that give us labels that we don't need. What I tell people is, if you've been diagnosed with DID or MPD, dissociative identity disorder, not dissociative disorder, but dissociative identity disorder, even if you've been diagnosed other specified dissociative disorder or not otherwise specified dissociative disorder, don't make that leap into other identities. Please listen to me. Don't. I will be doing a video on inner worlds mapping your system and why doctors and therapists encourage client, patient, participants, And it's very important the language I'm using because there is a shared language in work with a therapist that goes on between a therapist and a client. There's a shared understanding in the office that is not shared anywhere else. So, though people come out on the internet and talk about their experience and get with other groups and kind of compare like their system groups, we're going to take that apart. How did that inner world really get there? How did the alters get named? Alter aspect egos. And how it's used in therapy, okay? And how it's used in integration. And how it's understood by some clinicians and understood out here, which is, there are some places it's just straight out fanfic and Comic-Con. That's what it is. Somebody should just go write a book and stop. Stop with their worlds, developing more worlds and planets or whatever. It just goes on forever. So we all have an inner sacred place that subconsciously we go to from babies. We all have, I just call it the core essence of my soul. For a long time, it was called Mosaic Hotel because I thought of it as a hotel with people coming and going. There's a lot of guided imagery and guided meditation that goes on in therapy and internal personality, internal group personality dynamics and interpersonal, let's say interpersonal group dynamic therapy that goes on with your system inside of you that you developed with your therapist. Now they can come out, and with family and friends, you got to keep them in. So just be you. I promise you, nobody dies. They don't go away. You just become more you. So for a lot of the years that I was on pain medicine, my body was really reacting to past trauma. It's always important to go look at the root cause of some of the pain. Even though my doctor could see, my SED rate was my ESR, the double-stranded nuclear or whatever was speckled. My Western blot was all over. They could see all the markers that I was sick. They could test the fluid and see I had meningitis. They could see the tumors on the MRI, the CAT scan, whatever. People will believe what they want to believe of you. I had family members that just believed I was a pill popper. Yeah. So, what my doctor said to me is, you have never done drug-seeking behavior. You have never taken more than you should, other than one time I overdosed and landed in the hospital. Now, that was definitely a self-harm move. I had it. A lot was going on. I was like, that's it. I'm out of here. Don't do that. Okay? People have desperate moments in life, and they have moments they're not proud of, but we should always be able to come back from those moments. And if you're with people that are not recognizing when you're well, including if you're going to a therapist, and there's really nothing to talk about. Now you're just talking about the weather. You're jumping back to look at the past. Your therapist is like, okay, well, how are you feeling about this? Now they're going to bring up the past. There's an acceptable amount of time to be in therapy and an acceptable amount of time to be digging and going down that wormhole of the past. And what's more important is getting to the now and looking at what the person can do, what they are capable of doing. So I guess what I would say, if you're looking for a therapist, I've gotten a lot of mail from people that are like, what do you look for when you don't need a DID specialist. You don't. All of the coping tools for trauma is what you're going to use. And establishing a relationship with your client is what you're going to use for all the alters. And once that's all worked out, it really is quite easy. It's navigating facing fear no matter what condition you're in, and making no excuses. So 13 years today, no fentanyl patches, no Dilaudid, no Darvocet M100s. I was on 8 of those a day. Thank God they took them off the market, and I had to do that cold turkey. That was no fun. But I didn't replace it with anything. So the only thing I have now that I take is Tylenol. If I have a fever, when I had COVID, I had a fever for 18 days. I took Tylenol. I have chronic pain every day in my neck, my head, my back. Every day my toes still go like this. My back is completely I'm crooked. When I'm walking outside, I look like an old lady now. Okay, I'm kind of like this. Get your head up, stretch on a get a big ball, and you know what? Do a lot of this. Keep your hands like this. Your palms of your hands like this, and just like really, okay. You want to do a lot of this all day. If you're somebody that's on a computer, maybe you're crocheting, knitting like I do. I am a crocheter, knitter. My arms are always in front of me like this, and I'm always, so if I already got a neck coming forward like this, and then I got my head down to look at the computer, I'm telling you, get your neck up. If you're cramping in your shins and your ankles, you gotta stretch out your back of your shins and the very lower part of your back. If it kinked up here, your legs are gonna be screaming at night. If your hands are doing this, that, the other, you gotta, I would get it checked with a neurologist first. You know, check with your doctor, and then, I mean, I guess I would. Okay, so it's naturally more comfortable for me to lean over like this because it is hard to stand up because I'm off balance now all the time. But I make myself go walking every day, and it really does feel weird when all of a sudden your shoulder is going up here and your legs going about this much down. Make sure you get the right orthopedic lifters in your shoe, or you could run into a friction kind of sore in your foot that wouldn't be nice. So what I found is that my primary care doctor always said, wouldn't it be nice if we could get you to a chiropractor, Maria? If only we could work out a payment plan for you, because my insurance wouldn't cover a chiropractor. And I kept thinking, I used to go to a chiropractor and it was very healthy then. I used to work 3 jobs and I just went to a little adjustment once in a while and I was fine. But once you get on the system and you're considered disabled for either a mental health disorder or a physical disorder, one follows the other. Where the heart follows the mind, where the mind goes, the body goes, where the body goes, the mind goes. And that brings poverty. And it's a lot of people will write to me and say, well, how did you get on disability? Well, I had enough medical conditions going on that multiple personality was not my disabling condition. It just ended up being the only thing, plus a lot of like that everybody concentrated on that was close to me. When I had like 5 major medical things going on that required me to just actually stopped therapy for a while, but I kept going to it. So you need to know when your body is saying, you know, if you're having to take medicine to face your therapist because you're in that much pain. When I got to the point where I couldn't go to my therapist anymore and I got off all the medication in 2009, I simply told him, no, I can talk to you on the phone. I didn't use my therapist, who sometimes I saw every day in the beginning of the diagnosis, to 3 times a week once my children were living with my cousins because I couldn't be a parent now because I had multiple personality and I was too sick, right? Okay. So what I've been talking about out here is I see a lot of convenient integrations that start happening when people are getting sued, when people are getting into a relationship, when people are becoming mothers, getting jobs, suddenly adopting. Suddenly they're not multiple anymore. They don't have DID anymore. Suddenly they're integrated, right? So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about integration. What's the difference between merging, fusing, integration, interpersonal group dynamics in a system from a therapeutic approach, and a whole lot of medical myths that just sold people a whole lot of it drugs and it diseases, and the whole disease trauma model and the disease model of what used to be called addiction, but now we have to be politically correct and just say substance usage dependence. They can't make up their mind about that one. See, a pill popper is just a pill popper to me. A junkhead is just a junkhead. And an addict is an addict is an addict. I don't care if you're dipping your finger in sugar all day, or barbecue sauce, or you're eating cookies all day, or you're gambling, or you have to have sex, or you're masturbating, whatever the frick you're doing. Do you have an addictive personality? They don't even know that. What they know is that people do what feels good and what works for them to soothe themselves. So if you're trying to get away from pain, you're going to take medicine. If you don't like the diagnosis the doctor's giving you or the way a pain medicine's making you feel, you're going to pick something that feels better. So many people were diagnosed bipolar, but they don't like the medicine. So when they're getting into their down state, they drink a shitload of coffee. And those bullet coffees and energy drinks, tons of them, to keep themselves up before they have to actually go on an antidepressant. And then people that are going up to, they start messing with the sedatives to go down. Because if you actually went on the bipolar medications, people really struggle with finding a happy balance because your body medically compensates like any other drug. So I'm celebrating this weekend that God, because believe me, I like to sometimes say, okay, I did it, but with God. So alcohol, check with your doctor. Opiates, depending on how they're being delivered to your body. Like if you're at the point where you're smoking your pills or crushing them up, something like that, then you might need to go into rehab. But if you're somebody that is taking your pain medicine and you've been maybe on 30 years of a benzo or an anti-anxiety drug or an antidepressant, well, I wouldn't say that. I'd say the severe things you have to watch for are muscle relaxers, benzos, and alcohol. Heroin, opiate, meth, all the other illicit drugs. If there isn't any other crap in the mix, you should be okay to just start tapering off. Cut in half, cut in fours, taper down. If you have a large enough amount of medication, if you're feeling like, and this is how I was feeling when I went to my doctor in 2007, 8, and 9, I kept feeling like there's going to be a time this medicine isn't going to be here, and I have to keep coming back to my doctor. I mean, they've made doctors be the candy man, and my doctor was not a candy woman at all. She didn't like dole out. She just knew your body is totally inflamed. You're in pain. I can see that on all your tests. I can see what's doing it. And go to the therapist for the psychological pain, but you need medication to be able to go and some supports and helps. So take care of the physical stuff, take care of the mental health stuff, and then these medicines were never meant for people to be on full time. And you know what? Neither is weed. I'm going to do a video on that. I'm going to lose some people, but that's okay. I already know who I'm going to get a phone call from if they see this saying, you're old school thinking weed is a gateway drug. It's not. Actually, it is. It is. Anything you keep going to too much. I don't care if people have their medical card or whatever. There is most of the people I know that talk about having their medical cards so they can smoke it whenever, they're actually addicted. And do you think the government's really going to tell you that weed is addictive or that it's screwing up your lungs? or that's messing with your brain. They used to have ads in 1940s for pregnant women to smoke cigarettes because it was better for the baby. So, I mean, everything in moderation. So when you see something becomes an it cures everything. We got a new drug on the market. It cures everything. Oh, we got a new food. It cures everything. Use your common sense. Making money. When you suddenly see the ads come out for all the new diabetic stuff and all the new blood pressure stuff and heartburn stuff, what are they selling you? What are your doctors suddenly looking for? Why has the threshold been changed for A1Cs? More people have it. Just think about that for a minute. Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you. It's been 13 years. I pray every day. I wait until it's like 12:25. I used to get up in the morning and take 5 Transine, 3 Thelma. I had the patch on, and then 2 of this and 2 of that heartburn medication. And it was all medication I needed because I was on the medication. It was like a handful of pills. And then all day long. It's 12:30 in the afternoon on a Sunday. I haven't taken 1 pill yet. And all I really have to do is take that Soma if I get too much muscle spasms. And I got some pretty violent ones last night that kept me up all night. But, and I feel a little bit like I'm getting pulled through the neck. So things are starting to tighten up on me. But I don't feel like I'm going to start go into a seizure or anything. So I will definitely go till as late as I can today and then take that one, and I will have gone a day and a half without a Soma. And I will have gone a day and a half without a whole Transine, and I'll be down to a half. I'm going to play with that back and forth, see how I do, because I won't really know with the Transine. I started taking that in 1985. So I know that some doctors have said my body's so medically compensated that if I was down to 1 a day, I could just get rid of it. But then other doctors have said, no, teeter down, quarter at a time, and then keep it only as needed, the smallest dose. Because once you get off everything completely, even a tiny dose, your liver will go, oh, it's back, and it will metabolize it as more than it is. That's why we used to tell people when they were in alcohol rehabilitation, if you drink again, you'll die. Your body is intelligent. It's just one big, huge computer. So your liver, it doesn't know how to regulate after you've been doing something for a long time. Now you're like, what the hell? I only had 1 drink. What's going on? You start to notice it. People suddenly get drunk after 1 drink. Maybe there was somebody that could drink people onto the table, and suddenly after 1 drink, they're slurring. Their liver can't handle it. It's the same way with medication. When you totally get off of it, that's why when people think I can just take a little after they get off, after they come out of rehab, they think I could just do a little. I know what I need to maintain. No, your liver doesn't know. So it will lift you to that amount. It's totally freaky, but sit down and talk to an anesthesiologist. They'll explain it to you. It's amazing how God created the body to just compensate and do so much. So thank you for joining me. I hope you guys, if you are on medications, will, those of you that have, I know some of you that have gotten off the morphine and all this stuff, the oxys and all that stuff, and I say congratulations to you. And those of you that are struggling and wondering, am I going to be chasing my tail forever? Am I going to be running to my doctor for 1 more script? Is this going to be my life forever? No. Get enough. get a tapering off schedule. It really only takes 4 weeks. I don't know why it only took 3 days for a fentanyl patch for me. I call it a miracle, but others are like, well, you were down to 12.5, maybe. No. I've talked to people that have been on 12.5 patch for like 5 years and they can't get off the patch. No, I need it. So everybody will have a different experience with this, but I wish you well. And thanks for subscribing and joining my channel. And I'm not saying your pain is insignificant. I know people have fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, myasthenia gravis, arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, bad back, cancer. I know people have pain, headaches. There's after you've taken the medication for a while, it only turns around and bites you in the butt with more intense pain. It raises it was made that way. It's called an end-to-end plan where pharmaceuticals said, they're going to need more and more of this. And we're just going to keep saying it's okay to prescribe it. And then when it gets to this, they're going to go to this. And then we're going to get them in the rehab and the pain clinics where everybody's getting shots for everything now. Watch out with those cortisone shots. Everybody's like, oh, I can't wait to get my next shot. I'm not even starting them. Just wait it out. We don't give our body time to recover, ever. And I would have continued to be a mother, an employee, a citizen that was giving to everyone, and productive had I just given my body the time it needed to recover from meningitis, one, and then recover from a hysterectomy where I was bleeding internally. Had I given my body the time without rushing and trying to fix it, here's another thing I want everyone to think of if you come across my channel. We go to doctors and we often say, what's wrong with it? What's wrong with me? Try to find a doctor that's going to tell you what's right with you. Like, okay, you're having a problem with this right now, but let me tell you all the things that are okay about you. If you're going in search of what's wrong for you, what's making you twitch, and you go to a surgeon and that's what they do, they're going to try to sell you a surgery. Be careful of the specialized medicine. We do need specialized medicine, but be careful you don't get on a circle of, just remember during the pandemic, none of those things were needed for almost 2 years. No colonoscopies were done, no cataract surgery, no big dental stuff. Now, some people really suffered from it, but others didn't. So it's just common sense. And what I say in my life is I pray, pace, and persist. Whatever your higher power is, call on it. Invite that higher power into your body, into your mind, into your environment, into other people's hearts that you're dealing with. Wait and see if that higher power I call God, does it maybe make a way, a situation, or something a little lighter and better for you? Okay? And look for what's being provided. Okay? Take care, everyone, and please join me for Inner Worlds, Landscaping, Mapping the System, Why People Do It. More on Eve, 3 Phases of Eve. I've got a mind of my own. I want to go over a few things by Chris Costner. Seesmore. The late Chris Costner Seesmore. Shared dialogue for client therapy communication and group therapy. I'm going to talk about that. And I'm going to go enjoy my day and get some knitting and crocheting done. I hope you're all getting ready for school and traveling safe and enjoying your long weekend. Thanks for being here. Bye.